9 spine-chilling Dollar Tree tales, terrifying stories revealed that will haunt you forever. Rachel slipped into the shadows of the night as she left the Dollar Tree, the fluorescent lights flickering behind her like dying breaths. Every corner of Maplewood felt wrong. There was an eerie tension hanging thick in the cool air. Street lamps cast crooked silhouettes, twisting and writhing across the pavement as if alive, but the strangest sensation came from the quiet. It was as though the neighborhood itself was holding its breath. The Thompsons lived next door. They were friendly enough on the surface, but something about their smiles made Rachel's stomach churn. Each time she caught their gaze, she could feel darkness pooling behind their eyes. Mia, her 6-year-old daughter, played innocently at home while Rachel wrestled with her shift. But tonight, a nagging feeling throbbed in her chest. What went on when she wasn't there? As she approached home, she made a decision: no more late shifts past 10. But when Rachel stepped onto her porch, her heart dropped. An old, grubby doll lay on the doorstep, its porcelain face cracked, eyes frozen in a haunting stare. She recognized it from Mia's imaginary play, a doll that had been lost in their yard weeks ago. Chills skittered down Rachel's spine. Inside, the house felt too still. "Mia?" she called, her voice trembling. The silence responded, almost taunting her. She glanced around, her blood running cold when she finally spotted her daughter cross-legged, transfixed, staring at the backyard through the window. "What are you doing, honey?" Rachel asked, fighting to suppress the cold knot in her stomach. "Waiting for the neighbors," Mia whispered, her voice deep and unreadable. "They said they play different games, Mommy." The shadows flickered again, heavier now. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Rachel's heart raced at her daughter's words, racing through the horrifying implications. The Thompsons' laughter, their strange glances, invaded her mind. She couldn't ignore the pit growing deeper in her stomach. She rushed to the door, the buzzing fear coiling tighter. Logic screamed it was nothing, but intuition was louder. With resolve, she marched to their porch, wooden steps creaking under her weight. As she reached for the doorknob, the door swung open with a sinister creak. The Thompsons stood there, disturbingly gleeful, the dark shadows flickering behind them. "We've been waiting for you, Rachel," they chimed in unison, their voices dripping with foreboding. Mia's voice echoed nearby, breaking through the tension, "They'll take me. There's a game we can play." Rachel felt icy panic clawing at her throat. She looked at Mia, whose innocent smile twisted into something far more sinister, a reflection of the darkness looming just outside. In that overwhelming moment, terror sank its claws deep into her heart, binding her in a web of horror. Could she pull her daughter away from the approaching shadows, or would she be trapped in Maplewood's twisted tale forever? Rachel's breath hitched as she stood frozen, the Thompsons' eyes glistening with an unnatural delight. Their smiles, once benign, now twisted, revealed something monstrous lurking beneath the surface. "We have so many fun things to show her," Mrs. Thompson cooed, her voice sugary sweet yet laced with an edge that sent shivers racing down Rachel's spine. Mia remained at the window, consumed by a trance-like state. "Mommy, we can play outside now." "They say it's time," she said, her voice a soft echo that contrasted the cacophony of Rachel's thoughts. Desperate, Rachel stepped back instinctively, nearly tripping on the porch. "No. Mia, we're staying right here." A wave of dread crashed over her. She felt the darkness of the Thompsons' intentions writhing in the air, thick as fog, choking out any rational thought. "Don't be silly," Mr. Thompson chuckled, the sound grating and hollow. "The night is just beginning. It's such a beautiful night for a game. His gaze flickered to the backyard, and for a moment, Rachel thought she saw figures dancing in the shadows, swaying ominously like the trees that loomed overhead. Mia, come to me. Rachel urged, but her daughter simply tilted her head, the smile still plastered across her face, eyes glistening like glass. The innocent glimmer in her gaze had turned sinister, reflecting something dark and inhuman. The Thompsons took a step closer, their forms blending with the wrapping shadows. Games require players, Mrs. Thompson explained, finger tracing the air in front of her as if she were orchestrating a macabre symphony. Rachel's heart raced. This wasn't just about games. This was about something far more insidious. Mommy, don't be scared. Mia giggled, but it sounded wrong. Laughter morphed into squeals that echoed, distorting in the tense air between them. The wind picked up, carrying the scent of rot from the Thompsons' yard. They said they need someone to join. Rachel felt ice seep into her veins. You don't have to do what they say. She forced the words out, but they trembled as they left her lips. She grabbed the doorknob, fighting against a creeping darkness that clawed at her resolve. The Thompsons laughed, a sound so bone-chilling it felt like the scraping of nails against a chalkboard. Oh, Rachel, Mrs. Thompson mock-pouted, it wouldn't be any fun at all if you didn't play. Mia! Rachel shouted, panic warping her voice. Just as she was about to step back inside, she felt a cold hand grasp her wrist. It was Mia, her tiny fingers icy and unyielding. Mama, please. Mia's tone shifted, hardening unnaturally as she dragged Rachel closer to the porch. You have to play. They need you to join. The world around Rachel blurred, time stretching in an agonizing wait. We need you. The Thompsons chorused, their eyes glistening with mirthful malice. Rachel's chest tightened as she wrenched her focus back to her daughter. Mia's face shifted, revealing shadows where there had been innocence. She looked up at her, mouth curling as if trying to speak, but the words emerged distorted and broken. The door creaked behind Rachel, warning flares of instinct pounding through her mind. No. No. She cried, feeling the weight of an eerie connection growing between her daughter and the Thompsons. With one furious movement, she pulled Mia away, but the child's grip remained firm, unyielding. Then, the Thompsons' smiles widened, teeth glinting in the shadowed light. Rachel felt the crushing pressure of their presence closing in. The darkness screamed, echoing with laughter and promises of games that twisted reality. She was losing them both. What would happen if she didn't give in? Would she and Mia become another story, another chilling tale to haunt the streets? The weight of despair bore down on her. Outside, the night thickened, buoyed by the anticipation of unspeakable horrors. Let us go play in the dark, shall we? Mrs. Thompson's voice wove into the shadows, beckoning them into unknown terror. Rachel felt her heart hammering as she braced herself. The sinister knowing in the Thompsons' eyes left a final question. Hanging like a noose, what will it cost to escape? The grip on Rachel's wrist tightened. Mia's eyes, once filled with warmth, now looked cold, hollow like the deepest winter night. Their games are so fun, Mommy. You'll see. Rachel's heart thundered in her chest as the words twisted in her stomach, every instinct screaming to break free from this dreadful illusion. Mia, no. Rachel's voice cracked, desperation spilling over into a plea. She yanked her daughter harder, but Mia didn't budge. The little girl's expression held an eerie determination that made Rachel's blood run cold. The Thompsons advanced, shadows swirling around them like living smoke. Come join us, Mr. Thompson urged, pushing the limits of Rachel's fragile sanity. With every word, they seemed to sap the energy from the air, filling it instead with a sickly sweet perfume of dread. We don't bite, unless you want us to. In the depths of the yard, the blurry shapes danced more fervently now, pulsating, writhing in a ghastly rhythm under the pale moonlight. There were more of them. How many? Rachel's mind raced, flipping through every warning she'd ever heard about the darkness lurking behind closed doors. The tales morphed into a twisted reality, her skin prickled with the knowledge that this was not just a neighborhood affair. "Mia!" she shouted, her voice now soaked in panic. "Come to me. This isn't you." But her daughter strangely swayed, caught in an invisible pull. The Thompsons leaned in closer, their laughter vibrating through the very foundation of the porch. It was a sound both enticing and stinging, like honey mixed with venom. Mrs. Thompson's smile widened impossibly. "She's so perfect for our game. No one ever said no before." The accusation sliced through Rachel, each word an escalator plunging deeper into horror. "Mia! We need to go." Rachel felt the tears brimming, a raw mixture of fear and confusion. All rational thoughts were warring against the instinct to flee. With a final effort, she wrenched her daughter's arm free. Mia stumbled, momentarily hazy, but the flicker of clarity was gone too soon, washed under the tide of shadows. "Mama!" Mia wailed, real fear piercing through the ethereal fog. That brief glimmer of her true self made Rachel's chest ache. "No!" Rachel screamed as she watched the Thompsons' faces twist in disappointment. The shadows around them seemed to undulate with anger, thickening the air, suffocating her. "Let us play. It's already begun." Mr. Thompson's voice rose an octave, shattering the fragile moment. The ground trembled beneath their feet as dark silhouettes loomed larger, faces obscured but eyes shining with a hellish hunger. Rachel, shouting and terrified, positioned herself protectively in front of Mia. Adrenaline clawed at her senses, blurring lines between flight and fight. The night felt alive, resonating with sinister intent. "Listen to me," she shouted, determined to break the spell. "We are leaving. Now." She reached for Mia, but the child's laughter echoed back, taunting and distant as if tainted by the Thompsons' dark allure. Mia's voice returned, now lower, chilling, flat in a way that sent chills not just through Rachel, but through the very wood of the porch. "You can't go, Mommy. You have to stay for the game." A tremor ran through Rachel. The line between them felt razor thin. If she lost Mia now, would she ever get her back? The Thompsons encroached again, pressing in like a vice, their intentions weaving into a suffocating cocoon of threat. Rachel steeled her heart, taking a bold step back. "Mia, listen to me. This isn't a game. They won. Let us go." But the shadows surged, a wave washing over the porch, extinguishing the light. She mustered every ounce of courage, ready to break into the darkness surrounding them. "Come with me, Mia. We can't stay here, please." The deep, echoing laughter laughed in response as the yard filled with an unsettling pulse. "What's the worst that could happen?" Mrs. Thompson chimed, her voice like honey smeared in grime. "Join us, Rachel. Embrace the darkness." That nailed it. The connection, the unholy bond formed at that moment, screamed of a fate she refused to accept. Rachel felt herself slipping, and the weight of fear surged. What would she do to protect her little girl? What would it mean to play along? With a renewed resolve, she spun toward her daughter, determined to pull her back into reality. But as she tried to discern Mia's shadow amongst the flickering darkness, the air thickened, carrying the scent of something ancient and foul. She took a breath. Was it too late? Then, a movement caught her eye. A figure darting across the lawn, weaving in and out of shadows, a silhouette that resembled another child. "Who is that?" Rachel questioned aloud, the cold fear creeping into her heart. As the darkness swirled around them, questions lingered like the stench of rot. What were the Thompsons really? What had they done to take hold of Mia? The night was sharpening its teeth, and Rachel had only just begun to understand the true price of not playing along. Would she risk everything to uncover the truth? Or would she sacrifice herself to save her daughter from the claws of evil? Mia's frightened wail echoed in Rachel's ears, piercing through the thick fabric of tension woven tightly around them. Panic welled inside Rachel, a tidal wave threatening to drown her sanity. The shadowy figures of the Thompsons danced closer, their intentions oozing like a poison into the night. "Stay back!" Rachel shouted, holding Mia tightly against her, feeling the child's small body shaking against hers. But the Thompsons laughed, a cacophony blending their sinister humor with the echoes of the darkness. "You can't protect her forever, Rachel," Mr. Thompson taunted, his eyes gleaming with malevolence. "Sooner or later, she'll see the truth, she'll join us." The thought stung sharper than any physical wound. Rachel glanced at her daughter, whose eyes shimmered with confusion, lost behind the veil of shadows swirling around her. "Mia, focus on me. You're strong. Fight it." A flicker of recognition passed through her daughter's gaze, but it was fleeting, like a candle flickering against the wind. The air was thick with dread, buzzing with the unearthly energy that seemed to leak from the Thompsons. The shape darting in and out of the gloom moved again, more distinct this time, bobbing like a fragile leaf caught in a storm. "Mama!" A child's voice cried, soft yet confident, and Rachel's breath hitched. "Who are you?" Rachel demanded, unconsciously tightening her hold on Mia. The figure cleared through the shadows, revealing a girl not much older than Mia, with hair wild and tangled as if pulled by unseen hands. Her expression was ghostly pale, and her eyes held a spark of battle. "Help her. You have to do what they say," the girl urged, desperation bubbling beneath her surface. "Or they'll take you both." Horror clutched at Rachel's chest. "What do you mean, take? Who are you?" I was just like her," the girl trembled. "You have to get away. They can't keep feeding on you forever." Rachel's stomach twisted as dread morphed into clear understanding. "What do they want?" "They want to play," the girl said, her voice trembling as if the word itself was a curse. "But it's not fun, it's twisted. You'll never be free again." "Why would I do that?" Rachel shouted, her heart racing as the Thompsons' laughter echoed ominously, swallowing the distance between them. "If you don't, you might lose her," the girl whispered, a shadow of deep sorrow crossing her features. "You must remember who you are, Rachel. Remember the light." Light? In that suffocating dark, what light could there possibly be? Behind her, the Thompsons stepped forward, a sneer on their lips. "Such a pity. She just doesn't understand," Mrs. Thompson cooed, taunting Rachel with a gaze that slithered like a serpent. "It would be so much easier if you just joined the game." Rachel felt Mia's tiny hand shifting slightly. Screaming internally, she quickly turned her attention back to the other child. "How can we fight this? Please." "I can help, but you have to do everything I say," the girl replied, her voice trembling but resolute. "Trust me." The very air seemed to hiss as the Thompsons leaned in closer. "Why hang on to false hope?" Mr. Thompson's tone dripped pure evil. "We can offer security, freedom from the mundane." Rachel wrestled with the prospect of losing Mia to the darkness creeping ever closer. A flicker of resolve ignited within her, fueled by her desperation. "Okay, I'll do whatever it takes." But just as the words escaped her lips, the shadows thickened, engulfing the yard in a pitch-black suffocation. Darkness clawed at her skin, leaving trails of frost, and the ground beneath them trembled ominously. "Mia, hold on to me." Rachel felt the icy grip of panic creep once more. "Mommy!" Mia screamed, the terror in her voice shaking Rachel to her core. And then the girl hissed, "Don't look. Close your eyes and follow my voice." With a pounding heart, Rachel shut her eyes, squeezing Mia's hand tightly. The screams and laughter of the Thompsons receded into distant echoes, replaced by the girl's urgent whispers. "He's coming. Stay close." A howl erupted through the darkness, chilling to the bone. It was a sound that resonated with the very fabric of fear, an ancient terror summoned forth into the night. Just then, a blinding light burst through the shadows, illuminating the terror wrapped around them. Rachel's heart raced. It was a beacon of hope or a trap. "Run!" the girl shouted as the darkness writhed and shifted, an entity awakening. With strength she didn't know she possessed, Rachel lunged forward, dragging Mia along, but the shadows surged, reaching for them with desperate hunger. "Faster!" the girl cried. Would they make it through this cacophony of horror? Or would the darkness reclaim what it sought, her daughter? In the chaos, Rachel's breath hitched, realizing there was a price for everything, and the stakes had never been higher. As the screams grew louder, she struggled against the tide, determined to find a way to save them both, but deep within the shadows, something monstrous stirred, waiting to reclaim what was rightfully theirs. Would Rachel be fast enough to outrun it? Would they be lost forever in a twisted game they never wanted to play? Rachel's heart thudded violently in her chest, her lungs burning with each panicked breath as she felt the ground shift beneath their feet. The dark mass of the Thompsons seemed to stretch and swell, coiling with genuine hunger, as if anticipating their end. "Keep your eyes shut, Mia. Don't look," Rachel urged, squeezing her daughter's hand tighter. The girl, the one who had stepped briefly into their nightmare, had vanished just as the terrifying howl resonated. It felt as if the very essence of fear had come alive, ready to strike. "Mommy, I can't," Mia whimpered. "Just trust me," Rachel shouted, dragging her daughter forward, inching toward the flicker of light that hung like a distant star in a storm-choked sky. The darker shadows writhed, close enough now to feel the icy tendrils gliding across Rachel's back. The warmth of the light felt like a promise, a chance for freedom, but it was also pulsing with urgency, reminding them of how close destruction loomed. Suddenly, a cold hand grasped Rachel's ankle. It pulled fiercely, a desperate plea from the darkness. She stumbled, whipping her head around. It was one of the Thompsons, their features grotesquely twisted in a smile that sent shards of ice through her veins. "Come back," Mr. Thompson growled, his voice like gravel. "We only want to play." Rachel shook her head violently. "No. Get away from us." She forced herself to push forward, feeling Mia lean into her legs. The girl's terrified eyes peeked through, and Rachel forced herself to focus, straining toward the light that felt so far away yet so necessary. "Run with me," Rachel called, determination surging through her. "We have to be faster than them." In the distance, the glow pulsed violently. A fierce warmth battled the encroaching chill, and the air felt electric, vibrating with possibility. But the laughter of the Thompsons followed them, a wicked symphony of chaos that gripped Rachel's heart with every step. "Mama!" Mia keened, fear spilling from her voice. But Rachel pressed on, closing her eyes tightly, not daring to look back. Every ounce of her being wanted to scream, to shout for help, but she didn't want to give the Thompsons any opportunity to disrupt the fragile bond they shared, the strength they had to hold on to one another. Suddenly, an ear-splitting crack echoed through the space, like thunder rolling in from an unseen storm. Rachel couldn't resist, and she whipped her head around to witness a horror she never anticipated. A shadowy figure twisted and wailed, pinning the girl from before against a mural of shadows, a monstrous smile spreading across its featureless face. The girl's form flickered like an old TV, spirit trapped and clawing for escape, her mouth soundlessly screaming for help that would never come. Rachel's heart dropped. No! She could hardly breathe as the Thompsons advanced, a dark tide rolling over her hope. They were losing ground. "Mommy! Please!" Mia cried, terror evident in her small voice. "I'm here, Mia. I want to let go." Rachel shouted back, the connection between mother and daughter wrapping around them like an unbreakable cord. Merging with the turmoil, Rachel clenched her jaw. They were so close to the light now, she could almost feel its warmth reach out, and with a primal scream, she leaped forward into the unknown. But just as they crossed the pale edge of illumination, the shadows surged, snatching and grasping, a whispering roar that wanted to take everything back into the dark. "Stop them!" The girl's voice echoed faintly, drowned out by the malicious laughter. Rachel stumbled, balance faltering. "I want to let you take her." A fierce light pierced through the engulfing darkness, blinding in its intensity, and Rachel felt an overwhelming force push them forward, almost as if something deeper than survival was guiding them, pulling them away from eternal night. Yet, amidst this terrifying chaos, one question flared in her mind: what would become of them once they crossed into that unknown light? Would they escape the game, or would they be plunged into an even darker nightmare? The shadows writhed violently as if in answer, a promise of more terror accumulating just beyond the threshold. "Keep running!" she shouted, determined to find out. But what lay ahead? Rachel's mind raced as her instincts screamed at her a collision with that light was imminent, but would it be salvation or total darkness? They burst through the light, the searing brightness enveloping them, and for a moment, all was silent. Rachel's ears rang, drowning out the chaos behind them. She squeezed Mia's hand tighter, feeling the girl's small fingers tremble in her grip. Was it over? Had they escaped? Then the world flickered back into view, and a chilling realization washed over Rachel. They stood in a distorted version of their neighborhood, a twisted reflection where everything felt wrong. The familiar houses loomed like monstrous specters, darkened, with windows like hollow eyes gazing into the abyss. "Mama!" Mia whimpered, her voice barely breaking the eerie stillness. "Stay close, honey," Rachel whispered, her heart racing again. She couldn't shake the feeling that they were not safe, not yet. A thick fog rolled in, curling around their legs like living smoke, and Rachel fought the urge to panic. Glancing back, she saw the hollow light they'd just crossed shudder, like it was alive. Shadows surged from it, dark and eager, but this time they seemed hesitant. They flickered at the edges as if unsure about crossing over. "Why are we here?" Mia's small voice trembled. Rachel swallowed hard, her mind racing. "I don't know, sweetheart. But we need to keep moving." They shuffled through the fog, each step drawing them deeper into the distorted reality. As they passed familiar landmarks, Mrs. Avery's garden, the old oak tree, the atmosphere felt thick, alive. The laughter of the Thompsons echoed as a distant memory, but the more they walked, the more Rachel could feel their presence like a static charge in the air. "Do you think they can follow us? Why aren't we safe?" Mia's voice was raw with fear. Rachel shook her head, willing her resolve to remain steady. "We're okay. We have to find a way to get back home." But as she spoke the words, uncertainty gnawed at her insides. The home started to bend, shifting like wax figures under heat. Doors creaked open on their own, shadows swirled and danced just out of reach, beckoning her to come closer. The sight sent a wave of nausea through her, twisting it into anger. "Stop this!" Rachel shouted, even as her voice quivered. She couldn't let fear take over. She had to protect Mia, shield her from the uncertainty that lurked beneath the surface of this nightmarish world. Suddenly, a shadow detached itself from the swirling fog. A figure emerged, Mrs. Thompson, her smile wide and crooked, eyes glinting unnaturally in the gloom. "You shouldn't have come here, Rachel. It's all just beginning. We can play a new game." Mia tugged on Rachel's arm, her fear palpable. "Mommy, let us go." "Run!" Rachel commanded, adrenaline surging through her. They darted forward, but the street morphed, elongating, stretching away from them like a cruel joke. The escape route vanished as the fog thickened, trapping them. "Help! Someone!" Mia cried out, and the sound echoed, bending unnaturally in the air. No one would hear them, not here. The fog billowed, swirling ominously, and more figures materialized. The Thompsons began to emerge, their gnarled faces grinning cruelly, eyes filled with a hunger that sent chills through Rachel's spine. "Come play with us," they taunted, voices rising in a cacophony of madness. Rachel clutched Mia tighter, her heart hammering. She had to think fast. There had to be a way out, a way back to the warmth of their life before this abominable nightmare. But in the shifting landscape of terror, where even reality twisted and warped, hope was fading. "Mia, close your eyes again," Rachel shouted as they began to retreat. "Trust me." But the ground shook, a dreadful rumble that felt like the world itself was laughing at their fear. Rachel felt the panic rise within her like bile. What if the light wasn't the haven she thought? What if it was all a trap they couldn't escape from? Just as they stumbled backward, light flickered again, more vibrant yet sinister than before. In its glow, all those haunting faces faded, but a new terror clawed at the edges of her mind. If they were to return, would they survive the next time they crossed into light? Would it lead them deeper into the shadows, or was this a chance at redemption, a chance to confront this darkness head-on? Rachel took a breath, resolve washing over her like a shield. This time, she would face it. But as the fog rolled in, the questions remained: what kind of game awaited them, and would they emerge unscathed? The fog pressed in, heavy and thick, as Rachel and Mia took shaky steps backward. The shadows loomed, flickering with malicious intent. Rachel's instincts screamed at her to find safety, but there was nowhere to hide. An innate fear twisted her stomach, making her skin prickle. What had they walked into? "Mama, I'm scared," Mia whispered again, her voice nearly swallowed by the fog. Rachel glanced around, her heart pounding like a drum. "Stay with me. Don't look away." They were trapped in a hellish reflection of their own lives, where echoes of laughter morphed into something sinister. The Thompsons' laughter ricocheted off the warped houses, mocking them in an endless loop. Rachel squeezed Mia's hand, breathing deeply to ward off the bile rising in her throat. Suddenly, a low whisper brushed against her ear. "It's your fault, all your fault." Rachel spun around, searching the ghostly shapes for the source of the voice. "Who's there?" she shouted, her voice cracking. "Too late for that. You brought her to us." The voice slithered around her, chilling her to the bone. It was relentless, echoing over and over, sending vibrations through the thick air. "No. I didn't bring anyone." Rachel shouted defiantly, but doubt gnawed at her. Each blighted face moved closer, drawn to the waves of fear emanating from them. Behind the Thompsons, Rachel could see Mr. Avery's figure, his eyes hollowed, his lips pulled back in a grotesque grin. "Playtime is the best time," he screeched. "Stop." Rachel screamed, but despair clawed at her. She could feel the ground shifting beneath her, changing under the weight of their terror. Mia began to tremble violently. "Mommy! Make them go away." Rachel knelt down, meeting Mia's terrified eyes. "Look at me, honey. We'll find a way out. Just breathe, okay?" But even as she spoke, that creeping sensation of hopelessness pressed into her mind. In a split second, the atmosphere changed. The Thompsons paused, their faces morphing from twisted glee to something resembling hurt, their features momentarily revealing their past selves. Memories flickered, too faint to grasp. Rachel remembered backyard barbecues, laughter echoing summer nights, a veil of normalcy that quickly morphed into grotesque puppet-like shapes weaving in the fog. "We want to play," they whispered in unison, slow and deliberate, like a dark hymn. The words sank into Rachel's bones, chilling her resolve. Then, a crack appeared in the mist, absorbing the surrounding shadows like a vacuum. It radiated a cold, blue light. Rachel's instincts screamed at her to run toward it, but another part of her pulled back, wary of what she couldn't see. "Mama! Run!" Mia yelled, her small voice filled with desperation. That snapped Rachel from her hesitation. They lunged forward, tearing through the fog toward the crack, their legs moving on sheer adrenaline and fear. But the shadows didn't relent, they surged forward as if propelled by hunger, eager to drag them down into the depths of despair. Mia! Keep your eyes shut tight. Rachel shouted as they barreled into the blue light. They stumbled through the crack, an enveloping swell sucking them inside. Darkness dropped like a curtain around them, and time seemed to warp as they were pulled into an unfathomable void of silence. Rachel gasped, her lungs burning, and felt Mia's grip loosen. Don't let go. She strained, feeling a tug from behind as shadows clawed desperately, but just as quickly they vanished into nothingness. The light exploded around them, blinding, and with it came the scent of damp earth and the faint sound of laughter once more, only now it was distant, fading. Rachel opened her eyes to find herself standing in an empty room, walls stained and peeling. The light flickered, casting ominous shadows. Where are we? Mia whimpered, wide-eyed. As Rachel turned searching for answers, a chilling realization crept in. This space felt foreign yet achingly familiar. She knew this place. Mommy, I don't like it here. Mia's voice trembled, breaking her out of her thoughts. Rachel's heart dropped. Was this another trap? A place designed to pull them deeper into despair? Stay close, Rachel whispered, fear mounting within. Before she could react, the door swung open, revealing a figure cloaked in darkness with tainted eyes. They've been waiting for you. Let the games begin. The grip of icy dread locked Rachel in place. With each horrified breath she took, she understood, this was just another beginning, and whatever game awaited them had no rules. How could they possibly survive this twisted nightmare? The figure stepped forward, a wraith-like presence that flickered in and out of the dim light. Rachel felt as if she were staring into a void, her thoughts racing as the words echoed in her mind. The games had begun, and she felt completely unprepared. Mia, she whispered, her voice barely above a gasp. She clutched her daughter's hand tight, refusing to let go. The air thickened, wrapping around them like a suffocating blanket. It stank of mold and decay, a fetid reminder that they were nowhere near safety. The cloaked figure leaned closer, its breath hot against Rachel's cold skin. You can't escape what you've done. They want a fair game, and that means you must play by their rules. Rachel's heart raced. She could feel the oppressive weight of dread bearing down on her, each heartbeat drumming a terrible rhythm of fear. What do you want? Her voice was a mix of desperation and anger. What do you mean by rules? But the figure merely grinned, a wicked twist of its lips that sent chills cascading down her spine. Just wait and see. Suddenly, the air shifted. The ground beneath them trembled as the walls of the room began to pulse, like a blackened heart beating with a sickening rhythm. Cracks spidered out from the center, revealing visions beyond images of the Thompsons, their laughter now distorted into shrieks of agony, their shadows trapped in a swirling void. Mama! Mia cried, pointing at the wall. They look hurt. Rachel choked back a sob. If the shadows of her neighbors were trapped in this purgatory, what hope did she have? She scanned the room, searching for any means of escape, and her eyes fell upon the flickering light source above. It cast a downward shadow that danced erratically, and for a fleeting moment, Rachel thought she could see a doorway hidden within it, a way out. Mia! She said, urgency lacing her voice. Let us go to the light. With determination, they stepped cautiously toward the shimmering glow, but as they moved, the shadows grew bolder. They prowled around, hungry and restless, whispering chilling truths that echoed in Rachel's mind. You can never leave. You can't leave anyone behind. We aren't leaving anyone. Rachel yelled defiantly, but doubt wormed its way into her heart. An eerie laughter spiraled around them, congealing into a restless whirlwind of despair. Mia clung tighter to Rachel's hand. They're not happy, Mommy. Rachel swallowed hard, forcing herself to remain calm. It's okay, honey. We just need to keep moving. Together, they broke into a run towards the light, but as they did, tendrils of shadow snaked out from the walls, reaching for them, grasping desperately. Rachel gasped as one swept around her ankle, yanking her back, pain shooting through her like an electric shock. Mama! Mia screamed, reaching out but unable to pull her mother free. In that moment of helplessness, Rachel felt the shadows pulse with glee, hungry for her fear, her despair. Breathing heavily, she summoned every ounce of strength and twisted away from the grip, forcing herself forward. Mia! Run! Mia dashed ahead, her small legs pumping furiously toward the light, tears streaming down her cheeks. But Rachel stumbled, the shadows hissing in dark frustration, their cold fingers scraping against her skin. Don't let the darkness take you. The cloaked figure's voice rang out, echoing in the confines of her mind. In a burst of desperate energy, Rachel pushed herself forward, propelled by her love for Mia. She surged through the threshold of light, feeling its warmth wash over her. But in that moment, the world twisted. They were back in the fog. The shadows, however, were now swirling with glee, mocking their futile escape attempts. "We want to play," they chanted, their voices mingling in a horrific symphony, as the game began anew. How can they keep doing this? Rachel's mind raced, spinning like a compass lost in a storm. Then Mia pulled at Rachel's sleeve. "Mommy! Look!" In the fog, a shadowed figure emerged, one that was starkly familiar. Rachel's breath hitched. It was the woman from their neighborhood, but twisted, like a reflection in a funhouse mirror. "Come play with us, Rachel," her voice dripped with malice and sickly sweetness. A whole new wave of dread washed over Rachel, mixing with the suffocating fog. Playtime had only just begun. What did they truly want from her? What were the rules and who was in control of this monstrous game? The fog thickened around them, swallowing Rachel and Mia in a cocoon of darkness. The distorted figure of the woman approached slowly, each step resonating with a dreadful echo that rattled Rachel's bones. There was something wrong about her. The smile, sugary sweet but laced with venom, carved deep grooves into her pale face, her eyes glinting like cold steel. "What do you want?" Rachel cried, her heart pounding, a throbbing reminder of her mortality. "Just to play," the figure said, her voice lilting like a twisted melody, "but first, you must understand the game. You cannot win without sacrifices." Terror lanced through Rachel's veins. "What do you mean?" "I won't sacrifice anyone." She stood defiantly, shoving the fear that crowded around her. Mia's eyes, wide and afraid, darted between her mother and the advancing shadow. "Mommy, please let us go. We need to run." But the fog pulsed, an entity of its own, constricting her like a snake tightening its grip. As the figure loomed closer, Rachel felt an overwhelming sense of hopelessness. "Ah, little child," the woman crooned, her voice dripping with mock empathy. "You'll find that running only leads you deeper into their world. The darkness feeds on the choices you make. It's all part of the fun." Suddenly, the shadows around them writhed, coiling into shapes resembling faces, anguished, desperate. The Thompsons, their laughter twisted into cries for help, materialized briefly in the fog, only to vanish as quickly as they came. "Mama!" Mia whimpered, trying to pull Rachel away. But the roots of fear were all-consuming. Without thinking, Rachel took a step back, bewildered by the horror around her. "What kind of game is this? What do you want from us?" From the depths of despair, laughter echoed, dark and hollow. The woman gestured with elongated fingers, and the shadows recoiled, snapping back like a taut string. "Oh, but you're already part of the game, my dear. The rules were set long ago. The more you resist, the harder it becomes." Rachel gritted her teeth, a surge of defiance rising in her chest. "We won play." With a swift motion, she turned and grabbed Mia's hand, ready to run once more. The glow above hung like a beacon, a fleeting promise of safety, but as they ran, the shadows lunged with ferocity, grasping at her ankles. "Mama!" Mia's scream echoed, filling Rachel with heartbreak. "Don't let them get you. I won, darling. I promise." Rachel yelled, but doubt crept in, icy fingers crawling over her resolve. The woman's laughter followed them like a relentless storm. "You'll never escape. You belong to the game now." The ground shifted, rising like waves, and Rachel stumbled, dragging Mia with her. They fell into the fog, and for a brief moment, light flickered around them, almost tangible, a portal to freedom. Amidst the chaos, Rachel's breath quickened, her resolve hardening. "We will make it," she cried, pushing through the darkness, heart racing. Suddenly, a blade of shadow shot forward, a dark tendril wrapping around Mia's wrist. Rachel gasped, panic rising as she pulled against it. "Mia!" The figure of the woman leaned in closer, her grin widening, teeth sharp like daggers. "Will you choose to save her, or will you let go?" The air crackled with tension, the decision looming over Rachel like an anvil. She blinked away tears, raw fear clawing at her throat. "Mama! Please! Help me!" Mia's cries shattered Rachel's composure, and in that split second, everything hung in the balance. What price was Rachel willing to pay? The fog thickened, swirling around them, as Rachel summoned all her strength for one final push. Would she risk everything to save her only child, or would the shadows claim yet another soul? In the heart of that lingering darkness, the game was far from over. Rachel's heart was racing like a freight train, pounding against her ribs with the urgency of her daughter's cries. The shadows seemed to ripple with sinister delight, feeding off her fear as they tightened around Mia like a vice. The figure of the cloaked woman leaned closer, her smile widening in anticipating malice, reveling in the tension that wrapped around Rachel like a suffocating shroud. "Mama! Please! Help me!" Mia's voice broke Rachel's heart. Every instinct screamed at her to leap forward, but the tendrils of shadow reached hungrily for Mia, pulsing with dark energy. "Let her go!" Rachel shouted, her voice a roar in the oppressive silence that suddenly fell. The shadows hissed, but Rachel felt a flicker of defiance igniting within her. With every heartbeat, she realized the truth: this was a test, a brutal game dictated by the Thompsons and whatever lay beyond in the dark. She understood now that love was her weapon. "We want to play your game," she spat, forcing the words through trembling lips. Instead of fear, Rachel pulled upon the fierce love for her daughter worthy of defiance. Dropping to her knees, she anchored her gaze to Mia's terrified face, fighting against the darkness. "Hold on to me," she implored, tightening her grip around Mia's wrist. "We can fight them together. Remember who you are, sweetheart. Focus on our love." In that moment, a glow began to pulse from Rachel's heart, a warm, golden light cascading around them, pushing back the shadows like a gentle tide. The mist shifted, bending and writhing, but for the first time, Rachel felt a flicker of power. "Mommy!" Mia shouted, a spark of recognition igniting in her eyes. "I see the light. Then we use it. Now, use it," Rachel urged, the urgency surging through her. The shadows recoiled, hissing with insatiable fury as the golden light burst forth, illuminating their surrounding world. As it expanded, shadows diminished, their forms twisting and bubbling as if dissolving in the sun. In that rapid flashing brilliance, Rachel saw the Thompsons' forms emerge again, but not as twisted figures. She glimpsed the lost beings they once were, normal neighbors frozen in the torment of despair, longing for escape. "Mommy, they look sad," Mia cried, and even through fear, Rachel felt a pang of compassion for them, understanding their unholy bind. "Maybe, just maybe," Rachel whispered, drawing strength. "They need our light too." The urge to save them melded with her maternal instinct as she pleaded into the darkness. "You can all break free. Join us. Let go of the game." Their laughter turned hollow, confusion painting their faces. A glimmer of recognition sparked in their eyes, a flicker of humanity. Overwhelmed by the rising strength of Rachel's light, the Thompsons began to tremble, their forms oscillating like a flickering flame. "Forget this darkness," Rachel shouted again, and the golden glow surged brighter, pushing against the tendrils that threatened to drag them back into the void. Mia joined her. "Please. Someone help us. You can be free." At that moment, the shadows convulsed violently, twisting between the dying remnants of the Thompsons' laughter and Rachel's visitation of light. With a final, grand sweep, the darkness dissolved into the air, sucked back, as if it were just illusion. The room around them trembled, the pulsing noise faltering to silence. Then, as they blinked against the blinding light, the world began to unfurl, revealing a scene of brilliance, their familiar neighborhood radiant in the warmth of sunlight. Rachel stared at Mia, realization hitting her like a thunderous crash. "We did it. We fought it." Tears poured from Rachel's eyes as she hugged Mia tightly, feeling the vibrant warmth of their love cocoon around them. The Thompsons stood just beyond the threshold, their faces clear lost souls, freed from the malign trust of shadows that had swallowed them. They hesitated, confusion flickering across their eyes, but the dawning realization of hope replaced the hunger for their twisted game. "Mama!" Mia gasped, her small voice filled with wonder. "They're free?" "Yes." Rachel cried, stumbling toward her neighbors, trembling with joy. "You're free. We all are." The Thompsons stepped back, the guilt and malice fading from their features, replaced with something akin to relief. Echoes of laughter rippled through the air, but this time, it was different, joyful, untainted laughter washed over them, a sweet gift of hope. Taking Mia's hand again, Rachel looked to the surroundings filled with light. They were home. This nightmare had pushed her to boundaries she hadn't known existed, but it had shown her something more powerful: the strength of love, the light that could break through even the darkest of shadows. As they walked back into the embrace of sunlight, Rachel turned to the Thompsons, who watched silently, their expressions now showed understanding nestled sweetly against a newfound freedom. "Thank you," she whispered, hoping that those words somehow bridged the chasm of their shared darkness. With the tendrils of survival clutching her heart, Rachel walked forward, one step at a time, knowing that she and Mia were winners in this new game, a game of love, redemption, and the sheer will to believe in light again. If you loved this thrilling conclusion, you need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button, right now, to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments with your reactions and theories about what just happened. And don't wait even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this mind-blowing end. Your support means everything.